Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Masterminds Podcast.
Each episode, we invite extraordinary guests who are masters of their craft. They're innovators, entrepreneurs, and of course, motorcycle enthusiasts who have made their mark in the world.
They share their stories, insights, and hard-earned wisdom, giving you a front row seat to the strategies and experiences that shape their successes.
So sit back, grab a drink, and get ready for an exhilarating ride as we dive deep into the minds of these exceptional individuals.
Along the way, we'll uncover powerful strategies, gain fresh perspectives, and explore the limitless possibilities of what it takes to be an American mastermind. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Masterminds Podcast. I am your host, Topher Sheeler. I'm joined by my co-host tonight, Mr. Jared Bayless.
How's it going?
And we got Alec Langdon up on the soundboard. Love to see his hand as always. We also, ladies and gentlemen, we have one of our very good friends of the show. Garrett Schiffman has brought some friends here with us this evening. I am so stoked about this. I have absolutely no idea where it's going to go and where we're going to end up, but I cannot wait. Garrett, why don't you tell us who we got with us here this evening?
Good day, good day. This is my, I call everybody my brother, but this is actually my legitimate brother, Lance. My oldest of the siblings and taller. I'm the better looking one, just to get that clear. Gotta have something there. And then this is my cousin Aaron Garrity. Entrepreneur, both of them. Both of these two have probably been one of the top 5 biggest mentors of my life. You know, it's awesome to share the same stage and kind of break stuff down. I'm looking forward to it a ton, you know.
We're grateful to be here.
Yes.
Thank you.
They got
Thank you
many
for inviting
things
us.
to say, and, you know, the future is bright.
Absolutely.
and there's a lot to be seen and said.
Well, I can't wait. Let's jump right in. What was I just reading today? It was the whole thing. Oh, it was Terrence something.
Terrence Williams.
Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
On Rogan.
Phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, where he was talking, and the whole art of everything is not fighting it.
Yes.
Brilliant.
That, if he's onto something,
He is.
holy crap!
I've watched that twice.
No,
it's insane.
I'm gonna have to watch it again because that was blowing my mind.
He dismantled the entire scientific community.
Yeah.
The religion of science.
And the historical.
He dismantled it. And if you get into his numerology and how numbers work, it's even bigger because he dismantles mathematics. This guy's
Okay,
a
I was
genius.
listening to
1
that. He was
times
saying
1 equals 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did it equal just 1?
Now, I do have an argument on that, okay? Because it's not 1 times 1. It's 1 how many times? So if it is 1, it's 1 time. 1 times 2
To
is...
the 1th power.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
1.
Or maybe it's just always 1. Right? And they have this merging of ones that equals 1. 1 times 1.
But it would be 1 time.
Yeah.
1 time period.
But that's still 1.
1, absolutely.
But he was saying 1 times 1 does not equal 1.
Yeah.
Right. How could it? It's a really interesting...
But what was he saying
Scenario.
about, because I didn't catch all of this, he was saying if you understood 3, 6, and 9, you would understand the universe. Did you hear anything about that? Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, the magic of numbers. 1 plus 2 plus 3. In numerology, you break down to the lowest number. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6.
6
4 plus 5 plus 6.
is 15.
1 plus 6, or 1 plus 5 is
6.
And then 7, 8, and 9.
What is that, 15, 24?
No, 7 plus 8 is, or 9 plus...
Yeah, it equals to 24, right? Which is 6.
No, it equals 6. Again,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
24 to 6. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So you break it down to the single digit. So the numbers are ruled by the frequency of 666.
Mm-hmm.
And if you explore the tarot, the number 6 card in the major arcana is the Lovers, which is the 6th card, which is a sign of fertility, of creation.
Oh, interesting.
Which is everything we do. Our words flow, and they resonate, and they come back, and they check in on us. I mean, all of our creations are ours. We'll never lose them. And yet we're in a world that teaches us loss is imminent. at every level.
Yeah.
You enter this world with something wrong with your body, so you need these medical services. Even in the womb, they're vaccinating children. Probably shouldn't say that. I hear that word, but
Children.
But you come into this world. You come into this world, and there's something wrong with your mind, so you need our education, and we have prepared it for you.
That's
right?
awesome.
And you come into this world, and there's something wrong with your spirit, so you need our religion, and we have prepared it for you.
Yeah.
And so it's programming. And what's happening in the world right now is we're deprogramming for the first time probably in tens of thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's what all the chaos is going on right now?
Absolutely. It's like biblical in the sense of the separation of the wheat and the chaff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they look the same. But there's very different energies here in this like 3D. Man is half matter, right? Mother,
Right?
earth, and spirit. We are in the middle of this battle, which is this low frequency of where they've brought us, and the battle that earth is already starting to ascend, so to speak. So that ascension, and so that is where the calamity comes in, because the earth is going through, massive changes. They're not telling us this, but there are people out there who are. You just have to search in this world. You can't, and that's the whole point. The move into Aquarius is akin to going within. That's kind of the energy of Aquarius, where the energy of Pisces is more, it's more authority. What have we learned about authority in the last 26,000 or 2,600 years in Pisces? Wow, look at where it's brought us.
Can't be trusted.
We are actually in hell, literally, and that we're in it, but we were sent to bring heaven on earth,
See,
and that's our purpose.
You think so? Okay, so here's my philosophy on this. I'm with you 100%, okay?
Yeah.
I think that this is hell, okay?
Absolutely.
And that's the whole point. If we believe, all right, that heaven, but not just heaven, we have a higher creator.
Right.
All right, we're going to exist. I don't know that it's like a place that you go up in the clouds or something like that. I believe it's more like an energy plane of existence that you're on. Pure unconditional love. That's God's definition. All right, heaven, the afterlife, is supposed to be a plane of pure unconditional love. Well, how would you appreciate that if you didn't take a routine vacation to go and learn the bad shit? The whole point of
Right.
being here is for the bad stuff to happen, so you have appreciation of what pure unconditional love is.
Because it's all part of the same stick. One side is this vibration, and the other side is this vibration, but it's the whole stick. The wholeness of God is that. That's why when we judge not, lest ye be judged, was the counsel. When we judge, we stick ourselves into polarity. He is a bad man because, and those who know that you come back to the other side of that, and you feel a hypocrite because you judged people.
Yeah.
In that, and there are people I've apologized to in life.
That's what frustrates me a lot, though, too, with judging, right? Like, I'll meet new people, and we'll get BS, and they're like, did you hear that this person did this, this, and this? I was like, dude, I don't care what he did. What I know of this person is awesome.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
it be that.
And that
Like, it
that
frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It goes
dude,
to
you're not my
your
people.
point of we're in it because it's the wholeness. I mean, we're both of it. If we want to be the devil, we can be.
Sure.
If we want to descend lower in frequency, we can. Or we could take, control and just say, no, we're going. We're not staying here. This is not the place.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's pretty cool to feel that too on this journey of basically being aware of that kind of stuff. I've noticed like you can feel a vibration change, right?
Oh.
My marriage, I in the past couple of years have really raised my frequency, and my marriage is so much better now. My wife is on the same page. It's cool to feel it.
Yeah.
and find someone you can be honest.
Yeah.
Getting there first.
I don't
is
have
the
to.
tough part.
I don't
Yeah.
have to be
Right.
have a mask on.
But it
It's
also
always,
took time,
Yes.
right? Like, baby steps,
Yeah.
You got to drink like a gerbil.
Hey, are we rolling?
So
Yeah.
Are we already in?
yeah,
we
we're
should be
we're in this.
recording.
Awesome. Here we
We're in
go.
it.
No, but even kind of dancing here to Genshai, because I know Lance has some amazing things to say about that. What's happening in the world today is that big separation. We are creating essentially what people have referred to as the new earth, if you will. We're going to bring it forward. It's not going to magically appear, but the frequencies are going to be such that we get liberated, so to speak, as humanity, which is we're right on the brink.
Yeah.
Israel will be saved and it will be miraculous. I mean, and that's in the physical and the spiritual.
Yeah.
Such an amazing thing how all these things, numerology, tarot, astrology, the teachings that religious institutions use, not necessarily the institutions themselves, but they all tell the same story. Joseph Campbell's the
Hero's journey.
hero's journey.
Yeah.
The finding Joe is such a great deal, but it's the hero's journey, and the hero is you. The journey of Christ is the journey of you. Actually, if you step back, and so you have all this greatness being prepared in the world to take it forward, and Lance is right on the cutting edge with his Genshai organization. I mean, it's good.
It's kind of like what Denzel Washington said, right? I am God.
Yeah.
There's a lot to say to
Bottom
that.
line,
Well, but that is.
We are a form of our own.
I believe we're all a drop out of the bucket.
Yeah.
It is within here. If you're looking to God, you actually need to look to. I call it my gut, but
If you're created
it's
in His
here.
image, right?
Right.
Well,
yeah.
and I learned that kind of from you. He was the first person to say that to me. Dude, these two are probably this is one of 2 of 5 of my biggest mentors. When I'm struggling, these are my first of my 5 phone calls that I was telling you guys about last time, that I've been lucky to have the support of certain people that make me who I am today, right?
Yeah.
It's he's read who knows how many thousands of books,
Well,
every
Garrett-
religious book ever.
I read a lot of books.
Same with Lance, right? Just XANGO took him around the world a dozen times, meeting thousands of, different people. And then when you dive in, right? Traveling and seeing other lifestyles forces you to grow stronger mentally.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
you see how other worlds live. Because,
Yeah.
West Valley to South Jordan's a total another upbringing. A neighborhood over can be a total another upbringing, especially now so more than ever because everybody's so damn segmented in their houses.
Yep.
Isolated. Yeah.
Right? Get out. Shit.
It's nuts.
Us being raised, we had 5 square miles of fun.
Yeah. Everybody
Nowadays,
was
kids
involved.
are lucky to get the hell out of the neighborhood, let alone their house. I'm like,
I
get out.
never see the kids playing outside.
Oh,
I never see it anymore.
It's a travesty.
I'm
what's
in a
sad
pretty
about
cool
that is-
neighborhood, but yeah.
Where I live, it's
Well,
we're all outside.
Yeah.
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 Well, it's there in fear. And that's what the institution is pushing on. All of the institutions, if you think about it.
No, it's a test.
The whole thing is it's a joke. No one's free.
Yeah.
We live in the land of the free and the brave. And to discover that you actually don't, it's quite the opposite, is a tough lesson. And it's not that the people's hearts aren't right in many respects. I don't know when you guys grew up, but I grew up in Southern California in the 70s. And it's a very different America than that one. So, they've really taken it down and very fast
Well, okay.
throughout the world.
I agree with you, but I also see stuff right now that I feel the pendulum is swinging back, and it's swinging back very, very hard. I'll give you one little example. Did anybody see, the kicker, the Chiefs kicker?
Yeah.
Okay, and he gives this speech. Honest to God, the actual speech was pretty milquetoast. There was actually nothing really that he was at a Catholic school, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
It was nothing that was bad, but not them. Did you guys see Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and their response to it? I believe both of them were like, listen, Harrison is a fantastic guy. He's a fantastic teammate. I'm not even care what he said. I don't know what he said.
Yeah.
But I know his character because I see him every day, and that's not going to change anything for me. He's going to be our teammate in perpetuity.
Well, Andy Reid's a BYU boy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. That guy is very deep into the religion and everything.
But my point is that you're seeing stuff breaking.
Oh.
You're seeing, and I mean that in a very good way.
Oh, yeah.
Institution.
Well,
Yeah.
it is what you make it, right?
And,
If
well,
it's
and
going
there's
to break it,
and there's
it's going to break
there's
you.
a deep yearning coming from the average person.
Right.
The average person is going, hold the hell on here. What is this you want to shoot into me? What's going on?
Yeah.
Hold on, the government's doing what? Where I don't think, how many people talk about politics around the kitchen table now? Like, that was one of the rules. You didn't talk about money, you didn't talk about politics or religion. We're talking about all three of them around kitchen tables nationwide.
Absolutely.
That's all we talked about. It's true. Politics.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Judy.
But
Oh yeah.
It's true.
But the point is to break free, right? Because it's all conjured in the mind. Our obedience to what is said to be authority or the rule makers. And if you sat on a board of directors, you know very clearly that a few people can make decisions for a very large amount of people. And so it's not out of the realm, and it's beautiful that people are seeing it, because it's this isn't new. It's always been. It's just, consciously the world is awakening, and that consciousness is, we're recreating it. So we're thinking into existence a new world, right? And it'll get better as we get more liberty, so to speak.
So where do you see the next 5 years then?
Massive change.
Massive change?
Massive. I think this is going to be an absolute year of exposure. You're seeing it. They have to inoculate the public. It's because it's not ready. So they've been inoculating ever since Trump actually took office. And quite frankly, even before that, because if you came, to the table and were telling them that they were, extracting, a substance from children for their eternal youth, people wouldn't believe it. I discovered that back in 2007.
And that's an actual thing that's happening.
It's an actual thing. Actually, that's what this is all about, quite frankly. If we purge the purest form of humanity from this earth, they keep the vibration low. And so, but we have to do it. We have to implement it. We have to allow it. And we think we're stuck in these rules that we can't change as a people, but that's starting to change. It's starting to flow. People are wanting it now.
Yeah.
They're seeing it, and it's all over the world. We established our company in 56 countries. So we would go to Russia, and I was thinking it would be more like Germany, very rigid and forceful. But actually, these people were as warm as Latin America.
Really?
Absolutely, and genuine, beautiful people. And that was kind of our first round of discovering, like, oh my gosh, we've been duped.
Well, I do believe that. Yeah.
And you see it in so many levels of consciousness in all the different institutionalized programs that have really been programs of our mind. We're free. We're free if we choose to be. 99%, maybe a little less, of how we live is for the perception of others. The way we dress, the way we conduct ourselves, what we go after. You stand back and you think where you show up on Sunday or on a Monday, whatever. So we're constantly being pulled to perform in our acting positions, and that's okay. You're a different person to everyone you know. You're unique. Where two or more gathered there am I.
Yeah.
Am I am that I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So am I, and so a relationship is created that's forever, however long, however short, but the relationship is always there. You can take it to the highest degree, or you could take it to the lowest degree. And tell them what Genshai means with that in mind.
Yeah, and Garrett alluded to it last time several times on his podcast, so go and review that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Genshai means to never treat anyone in a manner that would make them feel small, including yourself.
That's so powerful. It was powerful when you told it, but man.
And like the deeper meaning, if you have the etymology of the word, GEN means beginning or birth, like Genesis, genetics, right?
Yeah.
Shai, S-H-A-I, in sacred writ means the gift. So the beginning or birth of the gift, what's the gift? Who is the gift? It's each one of us.
Right.
We are the gift. So when we don't treat ourselves small, we're actually living into our godhood or goddesshood, right? We're a fingerprint of God, and the only way God exists is how we experience things. So we are the expression of that.
Because, as Jesus would say, as he would teach it, this is life eternal, to know God and his Son, whom he hath sent. And then he says later, to know the Father is to know the Son, and to know the Son is to know the Father. You know, you've got a mom, you know her, but do you know her innermost feelings and aspirations? No, that can only be known by one, and it's the Son. And when you figure out you are the Son, everything changes, because the Father and the Son are one. And the good news for the world, like in the end, is the Son of God is innocent. The Son of God is innocent. And you are that Son. Because you were created perfect. Jesus said himself, is it not written ye are all gods? The Apostle Paul said, know ye not that the Christ lives in you? You are. It's a belonging. It's a sonship is what it is. And that's a tough discussion to have in today's world, where we're married to an image that was imprinted on our mind of really how that should be. And so did we ever have any choice?
Well, and one thing I've struggled with too, in spirituality, is when Christ says, you will do greater things than I. And then it stopped. With Jesus, right?
Yep.
Or did it?
Well,
Exactly. That's what I'm asking. Like,
or did it?
exactly.
You know, right before that, he said, I and the Father are one. I and the Father are one. We are one. One end of the stick may seem different, but it's actually part of the same stick that I'm on. So you are the manifestation of the Father in the flesh, the only begotten, if you want to look at it like that, because you are the only begotten. Who could know but you what your life has been and what it is truly? And yet we give it up for the perceptions of others. And I will tell you this, and maybe someday it'll be a quote, but all perceptions are misperceptions. And all misperceptions are perceptions. Because perception is created from within. And it doesn't matter. This is where judgment gets in. You might look at me and say, you know, why were you late? Not knowing what I went through, you know. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking more to Garrett. I always come late. I have my own time.
He doesn't even. Yeah.
There's the reality of time, and then there's
Aaron
Garrity time.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really live in the world of time.
My wife wants to kick his ass every day.
And we would just hold up a 10 to 15,000 person event when Aaron showed up.
Exactly.
Because he was the boss. So
Yeah.
Well, when you're
The meeting starts now.
Wait, right?
now the meeting will start when I arrive.
The meeting will start now. Here I am. Yeah. Well,
It's true.
It's good times. But, coming back to that, you are. When Jesus said, I am the way, he's actually saying, you are the way. Because that's how they would teach. I am the way, the life, and the light. You are the way. I mean, there's only one way, and that's your way. Whether you want to take it down or take it up.
And we talk about this all the time. Like, we're here to experience.
Every day
We're here to experience
every day,
everything.
Lance, we have conversations like this every day.
Like, and we shun and are guilted not to tap into our shadow side, right?
Yeah.
But how do you know the wholeness of who you are if you don't experience everything? And I'm not saying don't do anything to hurt anyone, right? Do no harm.
Right.
That should be like the staple for everyone. Do no harm. And do no harm to yourself. But experience what you need to become a whole person. Right? I mean, to be wholehearted and a whole person and to love wholeheartedly, you have to experience a lot of things in this world of duality, right?
Absolutely.
And the only way to love and the only way you can love is to the capacity you truly love yourself. Circling back to Genshai. Because all you've experienced to that extent right now is the level and capacity that you've experienced love.
Yeah.
Love's one of the toughest things in the world to explain.
Yeah.
Because, like Aaron said, the misperception or perception of love is only based on your experience so far.
Yeah.
And so we've lived in a very shallow world. I mean, you go to, at least I would go to church and, it's the same lessons every freaking day.
Yeah.
There's no depth in really connecting deeply with the Father, if you will,
Well,
and finding that.
I really think that that's part of the point. Like religion, part of the point is to, for lack of a better way to put this, is to keep you dumb.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're not, here's the
They don't-
mantras. Just recite these mantras
Exactly.
and you're going to be okay.
We've
They
got
don't-
it covered.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this numerous times. As soon as we went 2 or 3 levels deep in the religion we were a part of, we started questioning, and it started unwinding some things. It was interesting the direction that we would go, and then we would perceptively around us, people would urge us to get back to base camp. Right?
Yeah.
You guys have gone too far.
You gotta have
Stay
faith.
here.
Yeah.
It's simple. And I'm like, no, I want to know.
You have to have
Rick,
the faith.
And
that's-
I want to know through my heart what's true.
Yeah.
Well,
Not
then
what I'm
it's-
studying. What am I feeling?
Then it's also them creating a distraction to keep your mind off of the big picture.
Right.
Hence the
For
Colosseum.
sure.
And I feel
Sure.
like they don't
I've got
want they don't want you to connect with one another either.
No.
In that deep
now
way.
more than ever.
Right.
Well, and the
That's
whole
why
point
they
of
plugged
it
everybody in their homes.
Yes.
is God's not here. God's the unobtainable up here, and you better mind your P's and Q's
Exactly.
and pay us our tithing, right?
And-
Let's make
Right.
sure we get that in there.
And the Son of God is that guy.
up over there.
Sorry if I'm putting on
Yeah.
camera. The Son of God is that guy over there
Right.
2,000 years ago, however many, when we find out our real history. So we focus on that. How could you know that guy at all? But to actually take upon himself our sins, and that's a word people don't understand, our moments of darkness of thought separation from the Father, which we've never been separated. That's the point. We have always been connected. It's our minds that have been compartmentalized into a very small reality.
Sure.
And that reality makes us believe that we're not worthy.
Yeah.
So they use guilt, fear, and shame, which are all made up. You feel guilty because someone told you to.
Right.
You feel shame because you've witnessed people shaming. You don't have a mask.
Oh God. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, but you can see the different layers of life that apply that same principle. We're all going through it in the microcosm and the macrocosm of what is freedom. What is responsibility? But empires have come and gone. There is no right way. It's an eternal moment, and that's where God is. God is in the moment, not in the past of guilt and fear or anxiety and fear in the future. God is in the moment, ever present, all powerful, all knowing.
Well,
Right.
and creation only happens in the present.
Right.
It happens
Exactly.
right now.
Right.
Exactly. But we're taken out of the present through our shame, our guilt, our anxieties. And this is the machine that operates on top of us at all levels in all the institutions. And that's what keeps us, we've really been kept in, but we're breaking out. It's so blatant.
Well, it's
And how powerful is it when you're directly connected, like you can live in no fear?
Yeah.
Because when you have your higher consciousness, your God connected to you, you are the majority.
Right.
Hence,
Period.
Hence, the Son of God is innocent. And when you realize that, what is the greatest commandment? To love the Lord thy God. He said, not our Father, but thy God. The one you are directly connected to at the very source, which is all of us, right? So and the second is like unto it, to love thy neighbor as thyself, because your neighbor is God too.
Yeah.
Bottom line. And so when you attack your neighbor or make them feel small, you become small. You're in the polarity.
And that's another really good point is, like, how are you treating yourself first, right? Well, how are you treating your neighbor?
Right.
How can you honestly say that you truly, authentically love yourself when you are treating your neighbor less than?
Exactly.
Or coming down on them or judging somebody in your circle of influence? You're degrading yourself
Yeah.
because that's an expression of you.
Even bigger problem than that is, it's one thing, like, I know everybody in this room treats their neighbor very well. It's the treating of yourself. Because I would say most of the guys that I talk to, it's reversed. Like, we treat each other very well. I am brutal to myself.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
know-
You're your worst critic. And that's the point of the crucifixion. It's the Son of God is being crucified, and you're the crucifier. Bottom line. You're the one who, because no one can, shame you to death. You're the one who.
It's your perception.
Yeah. You perceive it.
You perceive
Bring it inside.
You bring it all inside.
Oh,
And
yeah.
It's all perception. The only truth that's here is we are here. And the plants and the air and the trees here at this moment. What we make of this moment is completely up to us. And that's a perspective,
Yeah.
right? The perception of others is where we have issues, or of issues. We think we know this world, but holy shnikes, if we only knew, we'd probably kill ourselves.
But it's
Just
also
how
takes
deep this
time.
Yeah,
Right? Like
for
it
sure.
takes so long to figure that out, which is how we've been taught.
Right.
And you got to find it out on your own.
Well, you have
guess.
to unwind and then rebuild.
Well, almost like,
Yeah.
if you could just take a kid from homeostasis and you could start with this, where would you end up? Because everybody that I'm talking to, I know your guys' background a little bit, you have a lot of unwinding to do. There's a lot of programming that went into, and then you got to go through the whole process of figuring out that that's wrong, and then question it and figure out what the solution is.
One of the best parts of unwindment for me that we discuss all the time is the words that we use. Right?
Yeah.
In the beginning is the Word. The Word was God, hence creation. But every word, and we talk about this often, like even when we wake up in the morning, what are we saying to ourselves? Like what are the words that we're using? Because words create inner alchemy. Every word we think, every word we speak is either acidic or alkaline. It alchemizes into our bodies. So when I wake up in the morning, one of my practices is I say grand rising instead of
Grand
good
rising.
morning.
We never say morning, because morning, what does it imply?
Yeah.
You're using the vibration of the word morning, which you do and awake when somebody has
Exactly.
died.
We are weak, we're at the weak end. So they're pulling us into the polarity of the less than.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Well,
Think about it.
Think about the whole, court system. You have a magistrate, which
Yeah.
is a magician, who summons the plaintiff and defendant into the court. So summoning is what you do to the spirits.
I got a jury duty letter the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't
Yeah,
show.
so-
Just don't show up.
That's what I do.
So
I haven't gotten one of those letters in 15 years. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not the right guy.
so
Kill
we're
'em all.
parking ticket. We're kind of dead. We're kind of dead to them. I mean, that's really the words that they use, and there's so many. It's when you start to recognize them.
That programming is Bananas.
Bananas.
I can't believe it.
And we took it all.
Morning and week.
I have
That is
blew my
wild.
mind.
But you're right.
So it's true.
Yeah.
The words you use are
But even
Keeping you-
the mean. But okay. But how much do you subscribe to the words have the meaning that you give them? You're
Well-
saying phonetically, which that
But
just
this
kind of
is
blew my mind a little
world of
bit.
vibration.
So
right?
the vibration of the actual
Yeah.
word itself would matter.
Yeah.
He's
It's the
he's
vibration.
semi Yoda.
I'm gathering.
I'm pretty sure. How many meditation rooms do you have?
We have a lot of sitting areas. I
Ruminating?
I appreciate having
His yard, his
perspective.
backyard is
Yeah.
heaven sent.
We'll have you guys down. We'll do barbecue or something.
Dude,
That'd be awesome,
it is like everything's mature. He's got waterfalls. Like it is a
Yeah, it's
very
pretty-
special.
But you have to be in a calming spirit to receive.
Right.
It's true. And quite frankly, like you suggest, you have to see the other side or at least recognize it, because if you don't, you will go to it. You have to. You have to go against all things that you've judged.
Sure.
And you either settle that karma in the moment or you see it, putting yourself on the side of the other, who is 100% right from their perspective, by the way. And knowing that you are 100% right, well, the whole of it is the correct one, right? And not even the perception, really, of it. I mean, because the bottom line, in the end, there's only love. I used to tell my kids as they were growing up, they get mad at me. I'm like, well, you can hate me now and love me later, or just save a lot of time and love me now. Because in the end, there's only love. That's where we go. We're already there. The thing is, if we're not acting like it, we're freakish. We're freakishly scared of.
Well, we're so divisive right now.
Yeah.
Everything's divided. So
We're advertising the 1/100th of a percent.
and
That's
and
the problem.
at the end
Yeah,
of the,
right.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we should be championing the message that the beauty's in the difference.
We should.
For sure.
The beauty's in the difference. If all of us are homogenized and the same, this is going to be one boring world to live in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want
Exactly.
the variety. I want
It's like
everything.
cultures.
They said the straight line doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It's
Everything's waves.
I do have to
curves.
watch that podcast again because, man, the straight lines and how everything.
Yeah.
That was.
No, everything is a swirl up. We're not going down
Yeah.
ever. I mean, there are those who can choose not to be a part of it, right? I mean, because we still even have that. And that's how free we are. We can go to the darkest realms and stay or dissipate at some point.
and sometimes you gotta cleanse it all in order to.
Yeah.
But that's still,
but
to your
recognize.
point, even at that, though, it's still your choice.
100%.
It's still, at any point in time, you can decide and you're back out.
Well, it's like I've had conversations with people, and they're like, I'm always a guy. I still haven't hit my prime. It's close though. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's been that way for like a decade.
It's life, bro. It's life. I've got a book coming out in late fall called A Moment of Pure Rebellion.
Ooh.
And the crux of it is it's in the moments where you do not listen to the voices behind you who have told you you must do it this way or that way. This is right or wrong. And you make the decision to go forward. That is when the whole universe, as if walking through a black hole, opens up a whole new world. But you cannot know until you do it. Everything else is, conjecture, perspective, however you want to look at it. But until you do it, until you walk in those shoes and actually do what they did, who are you to judge?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
And I heard this one time. It said, you don't know a person's experience until you walk a mile in their shoes. And the good news about doing that is you're a mile away from that person and you have a new pair of shoes. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
anyway,
No doubt. I mean, like, we're here to.
How many pairs of shoes do you have?
and we need
Me?
to.
Okay, I've got a couple. I've had many addictions.
You have no idea.
I've many addictions.
Humidors for
I mean, we're all being serious right now, but
Yeah.
this is more of the energy. Like we just start popping off. And
Absolutely.
So you're a shoe guy.
there was a point where I had 17 cars at once.
Card?
Cars.
He had a garage that was about a mile away from his house.
Yeah, it was a double decker. It could hold nine cars per floor.
Okay, but what kind
It's
of cars?
badass. Like Aston Martin,
Mercedes.
You had an Impala too, didn't you?
Lawnzer package.
Didn't you have an old Impala or something? Or?
I
He's
got
got
a
the-
68 Buick Skylark. Lowered. When I drive it, people think I'm, doing a hit on them. The car's bright orange with the stripe down it, but
It's the General Lee.
General Lee. It's kind of like that.
He wears
But
his
yeah.
Daisy Dukes.
So I've had my moments, only to discover it's not there. I'm telling you, I have 4 degrees. It's not there, and you see how I speak of education. There's a point, but when you learn how to learn, you're done.
Yeah.
Because then you can go about your way and learn the things that you wanted to learn, even if it's the hard lesson.
Granger,
Because-
class of '99, right here.
Yeah.
Done.
I've already learned what I need to.
I've got it all.
Done.
The
801,
I'm
baby.
in 801. West Side.
Hell yeah!
West Side, baby.
I think the only reason why I would wish I didn't go to college was to find different people from different areas, right? Like that's the only reason why I, regret going to college, because what I do now, it would have been a waste of, I get college if you're going to medical or something like that, but
Right.
I'm just going to get my generals.
Yeah, it's their system. They've systematized the
Yeah.
whole thing, so everyone has to do it. And I mean, there's a whole lot of people making millions out there who have never been to college. And so, I mean, 3 of my kids are total entrepreneurs.
Let me ask you
They
this.
do their own deal.
What job
Yeah.
can you go get with a college degree that lines up directly that you're going to drive that Aston Martin you're talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe a
No.
doctor?
Maybe an attorney.
Maybe.
But let me tell you
More
something.
Mercedes.
Most attorneys, no.
Oh, I know.
Well, and they didn't get it from their education and books.
No,
They
no,
got
no.
it from
Personality.
Yeah.
And being able to sell something.
Yep.
Going after it and again thinking it into existence. I mean, literally. I mean, Lance knows when before we created our company, we had it like down to the music
Yeah.
that we would use at events and whatnot, and it became total reality. It's what we do. God provides the way. It's His flow. It's His river. We're just a drop in it. So if you go with the flow, and it's a really key statement, it's you're doing it. You just have to kind of figure out the perspective you want in it.
Well, and I
know,
love
it's-
Alan Watts as a go-to
Yeah.
for us, for me especially. And when he talks about the flow, he's like the only difference between kind of the norm and the general public between a master and somebody that's just flowing is how they set their sails. Do they fine tune it, like hone it in?
Yeah.
And that's the only way you become a master in something. But there's a lot of masters in certain areas, like a doctor or whatever, but they're only masters in that one particular point that they've been studying and mastering. But a true master, like when they master something, like they return back and they give back.
Yeah.
So they can relearn it again, right?
Right.
And that's really the key. It's
And I think it's okay to do different things.
yeah.
We've been taught in the world again that it has to be this way. You get your degree, you get married, you have your kids, and you get your house, you get your mortgage, and you get your now it's a very short turnover in getting people to work for big institutions, but that's the program. And since COVID, it's been put on its ear, which is a beautiful thing. And it's going to get more free because people are going to be able to actually speak freely going forward. I mean, you have to worry about getting tagged. I mean, in all the social media accounts based on the words you're using. It is what it is. But eventually it will be completely done differently.
Yeah.
A lot of these big organizations in stock, they refer to it as a dead cat bounce. And so a lot of these organizations, which are on the brink, if you look at how many Chapter 11 filings and closures, all the big, huge companies of our lifetime are happening right now.
Well, the stock market's just a joke.
Yeah,
They can ebb and flow however they want.
exactly.
It really is.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
it's
It's such a fugazi.
fugazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a woozy, it's a wazi.
And the coin and the coin. So back in October of 2023, the already established BRICS nations adopted, after XRP won its lawsuit against the federal government, they sealed the deal that they would be the money flow
Right.
system for the BRICS nations. And Saudi Arabia that same month actually became a BRICS member. And of course, Saudi Arabia has been owned by the petrodollar for forever. And so they're fixing, because the U.S., the land of the home and the brave and the free and the brave, is definitely under assault, because America's waking up to the fact that, wow, this isn't the country I grew up in, and we're going to take it back. I mean, it's inevitable, and it will build. It's going to be, like Trump said, the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
And he said that a few times, and it really is. I mean, we know the end of the story. The battle between the forces of good and evil, this is the material manifestation of the same war in heaven. So the same players are here. We're just at a really low light level.
As is above, as below, right?
Right. And
Right.
so Adam, being the first man or the first unit of consciousness, Adam's swirl. We've changed Adam since we've been in this conversation. Mm-hmm. They're swirling. They're in the air. They're in the pipes, they're in the building, and they just flow. They're part of everything. And that's kind of, you have 50 trillion atoms to a cell and 200 trillion cells in your body, and at the very fine point of being an atom, it's 98% empty space. And it's just a congruency of a conglomeration of neutrons and protons with a kind of popping out electron, right, in this space.
Which goes right into stem cells. No.
Absolutely. Well, it's true. But so you are guiding your own universe. Literally, that is a universe. That is
true.
As above, so below. And so I think very importantly, like Lance is bringing up, so what's happening in the world? These things that they have tried to keep back. They've taken back the big A.
The big
Right.
A?
Yeah, abortion.
Oh, okay.
It's been repealed. That's
Can we take a break real quick?
Yeah.
Get that thought.
Okay.
Are we okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take one.
Take
Okay.
one. Is that cool?
100%.
Snap. Cut.
So
Okay, so we got to abortion,
we got to abortion.
right?
Big A.
So what has happened in the world is all of these laws that were created, like unto the abortion laws here, they have systematically been taken back in literally every country on the planet. I don't know of one that has left anything in place. And so, the big lesson, I think, that we will, when we discover what they've been doing systematically under our very noses, and we will be completely disgusted that why didn't we do anything? How could we have been there and allowed this to happen? It was right before our very eyes, because they have to tell you. They tell us what they do.
Yeah.
And so we just have to approve it or accept it. And that's where, the cinema is like key that way. Excuse me. My voice is changing. I'm going through those moments.
Oh, the time of the month for you.
The equinox.
Yeah. So you'll see a lot more of it. One of the things I loved about Trump is when, he came up with a mandate early on in his presidency when when a new law was created, they had to repeal 3. So they've already started, things that go back to like the 1800s or whatnot. So they've already started and they're continuing. we're watching the show, and the show is dangerous. You know, I think it's kind of like Hunger Games in a way. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, the key is to stay alive. And the fact of the matter is we're protected. We are protected. And if you really start to see the synchronicities in your life, God has had you the whole time. The whole time, no matter how frustrated. Why? I mean, so you lost your job. People lose a lot of things, but in the end, you will come back and you will tell a story.
A couple years ago, I did a reset, and I told Aaron this. I've told you this as well, but we're so entrenched in duality, good, evil, dark, light. How does God see things? He only says yes, and it's all expansion. What if I change my mindset and just go into expansion and say yes to what feels good that my heart says yes to? How did things change? And literally almost 2 years ago, like, things started flooding in.
Big
Wake
time.
up every morning and just go, okay, I'm going into expansion. Take me. And we're all afraid of the unknown, right? So we get comfortable. We always take a step back when we're going and it's getting uncomfortable. But what if we get uncomfortable and we expand? Where does it take us?
That's the only way you
Right.
make it is
pressing. And that goes back to kind of what we were getting to, Genesis 32, where, you know, I'll retell the story because we were talking about it offline, where Jacob met the angel in the valley and they wrestled. Where would you wrestle? The same place Jesus wrestled, in the garden of the mind.
Yeah.
The mind is what talks you out of every great idea your heart has ever had. The mind tells you you're not good enough or smart enough, or that, you know, people don't like you, as Smalley would say in Saturday Night Live. Yeah. But it's the mind that needs to submit to the heart. That's why when you pray, you're, you know, in token anyway, your head bows toward the heart in respect, because the heart is the mind of God. Right? What is God? God is love.
Right.
Right? As the scriptures say. And so when Jacob went to the valley, his name was changed to Israel. And again, that's a trinity.
Right.
Is, Ra, and El. And you can look up what those are. And it's creation, really. And so his name was changed to Israel. And he named the valley, and what did he name it? Genesis 32. He named it pineal, as in the pineal gland, which is very much like a pine cone. That's why Buddha wears a head of a pine cone.
Right.
Because when that pine cone opens, and that's what the pineal looks like, there's an excretion of fluid, quite frankly. And it's a white substance, I believe, mixed with blood. So as if bleeding out of every pore, and the brain hemispheres begin to become one at one atonement, at one mind. Mente, which is the mind of God. And there's only one mind, and we're the ones that stay out of the mind. And we invent our own stories and our own characters and our own judgments. And when we do, we lock ourselves in until we realize we had no reason to judge. You know, I actually apologized to Garrett at one point. And I referred to him as I said, dude, I have to apologize to you because, you know, kind of in my 20s as I was building my family, I judged Garrett. And Garrett. And if you're listening.
Just a both.
I you know, not in a big way, but in my heart. And I'm like, I'm so sorry that I judged you. And I said, like, you were an he didn't give a shit.
Which was the genius.
Sure. He lived his life authentically. Yep. And if you get to know this guy, you know he's completely authentic. It's a beautiful thing.
And always has been.
I actually believe that. Like Garrett, I'll speak about you since, like you're not here, but no, you do have an air of this is you.
Yeah.
100%. And it's a trait that not a lot of people have.
Yeah.
No.
It's very rare.
I'm his oldest brother, and I've witnessed it my whole life. He's been authentic from day one.
Yeah.
Which is the brilliance of Garrett.
But my apology was that, he was free already, which he arrived to the party early, may not realizing it as to why, but that comes up later. And
Well,
he
it probably comes from the better looking older brother, right?
yeah,
Taller.
not better.
What
What did I say? I believe it was better looking, more
Taller.
distingued,
Taller,
that's
older
what I thought.
older brother.
You
right?
heard
So I'm just making sure.
No, thank you.
And we got it done.
You heard it
and-
here on American Masterminds.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yes. Coins for everyone.
So going back to the merging, the pineal, the left and right brain hemisphere. The left brain hemisphere is the data, the points,
Right.
the world they've taken us into,
Right.
The science. You got to believe the data. It's all about the freaking data. Have you noticed these words? And the right brain hemisphere, which is total creation. Give me a problem, I'll give you 1,000 solutions because I'm cool.
Right.
I have the same mind as the mind of it all. And to merge kind of that heaven and earth, which is somewhat separate, right, in the process, and to bring them into one, and to understand the points, yes, but the truth and the greatness behind the relationship, you've solved the problem because you've recognized that your neighbor is the Son of God too. And they tell us that. Mm-hmm. In our Christian faith, that you are the sons and daughters of God, okay? But we take it in a very different way.
Well, that's because there's usually a follow-up sentence to that.
Exactly.
As long as you do this,
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Or the fact that the reference is to the Son of God who was, 2,000 years ago plus.
It's do as I'm doing, follow me.
Right, and all rules are made up. Right?
He's gonna sing.
I tell my kids this. I have a law degree, and it's funny because every contract you have to have a meeting of the minds.
Right.
In reality, there can never be a meeting of the minds unless it's the mind of God. That would be the only meeting of the mind. Everything else is a variation and is false. So, in my opinion, quite frankly, I think contracts are they're unenforceable.
Yeah, they're flawed from the beginning.
Well, PBD just said this the other day. Like, the contract is only as good as the handshake of the person that wrote it.
I've signed thousands of contracts, and I'm telling you, whenever there's always a battle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If it comes to that, and so in agreement, we've done business for 25 years. We've never had a deal.
Contracts.
Never had a contract.
We've won and lost, all three of us together,
Absolutely.
in multiple
Numerous times.
investments.
Absolutely. I wish I was better in
What
poker.
was that? Yeah, that'd be great. Well, I'll teach you.
Yeah, I'm in, bro.
Right after you win the World Series.
Yeah.
It's coming.
happening.
It's coming.
happening.
I believe it.
He's
I'm
gonna
going to
win.
Vegas tomorrow.
He's gonna
so
do it.
exciting.
He's
gonna do it.
He's gonna win it. I know he is. Yeah. He's put in the time.
No, it'll be fun. But yeah,
Yeah. No, so anyway, yeah. I mean, and that's what we come down to. It's like, how could I have ever judged you? You're amazing. But go fuck yourself. You don't I don't need to run.
Well, and it just makes. But also, I'm mad right now.
well,
so
it just
get the
takes
hell
me
out.
back to like, you only know what you know.
Right.
Right.
And, it's like every time I tell someone, I left the church at 11 when my parents got divorced, they're like, every single time I say, they're like, how did you know then? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just
No,
like,
he knew.
you and mom didn't figure it out. I'm gonna.
Garrett, do you know a lot of things? Like internally, when stuff comes up, do you just know things?
I can solve most
Intuitively,
problems.
right?
Yeah.
I'm really intuitive at that, and I'm the guy that's always saying, I can do that. If it interests
But
me.
if somebody brings you something, do you know within a second or two, true, not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And if I want to do it, I'll do it. And if I don't, I'm not interested, or I know this guy that can help you a lot better than I can. Not it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's done that. He's turned down huge deals. I know.
Well, it's
A little
yeah.
salty over there, are we?
No, well, it's just, I've had a lot of things presented to me, but I'm like, no, not yet. That, and, I've presented some awesome opportunities to the family, and it wasn't the right time. So it's just this path I'm taking and just being loyal. I'm a loyal dude.
I can see that. Okay, so I'm kind of doing some math here. Did you guys all grow up together? Obviously, you two did, but when did Aaron come into the picture?
17, 18
Yes.
for me.
So his better half is our
cousin.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So,
So
his
I'm
wife.
kind of related.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of related.
That's awesome.
No, but we'd get together at like Thanksgivings, and I'm like, every time Lance and I we'd be like, we'd just get into it, and start this dialogue, and we're like, we ought to hang out, and every year it was like that, and then we wouldn't see each other for a year, and we'd come back, and quite frankly, I mean, and we had talked a lot. I learned a lot about Lance. He's a master entrepreneur, self-made millionaire many times over. And an exceptionally humble person who I went and did the prezo to. We didn't have a dime collected. I mean, we were self-funding, and we were raising a very small amount of money. And he was first in. I gave him the prezo. He's like, who do I need to write the check to? And
After 2.5 hours of Aaron explaining in detail, right? Because God works in the visual,
Yeah.
right? The image. There's no words.
Right.
It's just the image of something. After 2.5 hours of Aaron explaining, hey, here's where we're going. Here's the team we're bringing, down to what he said, like the type of music we were playing at the events, down to how much product the first year we'd generate within a case of $36 million in sales
yeah,
within
yeah.
$100.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. I was like, I'm in. Are you guys taking money? And he goes, well, we're just starting. And I said,
Yeah, he
here's
was the
6
first.
figures.
And
Let's
then
go get started.
And then it started
Wow.
to pour in, and we ended up not even we raised just over half of what we planned on raising, and we had everyone paid off in 8 months, and the company exploded.
Incredible ride.
The first
Unbelievable.
meeting was in your living room
Yeah.
in South Jordan. I remember signing the whole.
That's right.
Yeah,
It was just paper.
Wow.
If I'd have known, I
But
could have just took off with it. I'm
the-
sorry.
God. See, Garrett, just one after
Yeah.
another.
Tracks for nothing. I was 19.
Closer ties to the league.
absolutely. No, Gareth will not miss a deal with us.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
He's an amazing partner. But we visualized it, and it's over $5 billion, and yeah, I mean it absolutely has rocked the world. It's the air is very thin at that level, and it's amazing the types of people that come after you.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a battle. I mean, because all it is a persona.
Sure.
Right? A law degree is what? It's an agreement that I know something about the law.
Yeah.
Right? An MBA. But we give it meaning, and then we tear the meaning away. Right? Which is what's happening right now.
Right.
And people are either discombobulated. They don't know what to think. Who do you trust? What good is college?
What
Well,
What was your initials, Lance, for your name? I forgot that.
Oh, you're talking
Yeah,
about
like
the 3
MD.
letters?
Yeah.
What Garrett's alluding to is, like, Aaron, as accomplished as he is with all of his degrees, law degrees, master of business, like genius when it comes to branding and marketing and everything. And so you got the pendulum here, right? And Garrett's saying, hey, I graduated, 1999, Granger High School, you know? So
Lancers.
So I was, and ironically, as I sit here in the in-between again, like when we launched this company, like I'm meeting with doctors and some of the highest level people, because the industry that we're in draws everyone. It's beautiful when done
magical.
right. Yeah. And they all have like 2 or 3 3-letter things after their name. And I'm like, I went to a year and a half of college, and then I bought an apartment complex, a taco time, and then a gas station within 3 years of 18.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, then I was scared to death. Thought I was going to go bankrupt for 7 years. But you get your doctorate degree fast, being an entrepreneur. And I'm like, I gotta have 3 letters after my name. Like, I'm feeling kind of small. I'm feeling less than. So I'm like, well, what would it be? And I said, DMA. Lance Schiffman, DMA. And they'd be like, hand out the card. And it's like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, it doesn't mean anything.
Genius.
Brilliant.
And I'm like, that was my first realization that, you know, we were talking about being a master in something. I honor people that have mastered something. They're amazing at what they do. I honor that. You know, they deserve the accolades and everything. But the people that don't have that, honor them the same.
Right.
Right? Honor them the same.
Well, and you just don't know who you're talking to.
Exactly.
Right? The smartest people I know have no college.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean anything. There's certain degrees, like a law degree. Okay, that's the rules that we've. Okay, I get it. But that doesn't make you smart. Just because you went and got a law degree.
No.
Most attorneys that I know couldn't whip themselves out of a wet
paper
paper bag.
For the record, I've never practiced, but
He was smart doing.
Yeah.
Smart again.
I mean, but I've had a lot of attorneys work for me, and so it gave me perspective. Again, kind of this. I took all polarity in many segments of my life, but you know, to do both and 2 undergraduate, it's just I wanted to consume as much as I possibly could in life, and you know, it's been big. It's been wild. It's been, you know, an interesting perspective. At the height of everything, you realize it's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time we plateau on something, like in discussions that we have, right? Every time you plateau on something and you pull your head above water, you're like, oh, I'm just starting over again.
I got a question. When was the last time you lost your shit?
It's hard.
No, I'm serious. When was it? Can you remember?
No.
Like, when you raised your vibrations of getting angry and pissed?
Yeah, it's, you know, and that's the part of understanding that, you know, I was speaking at a conference, going to that the other day. It was a soulpreneur discussion, and I was asked, what is the greatest challenge you've dealt with in your business career? And I said, oh, that's easy. It's betrayal. At the tightest level. And you know, it hurts because you perceive it to be betrayal, right? And so it's in the unwinding of that you realize that to somebody you're the betrayer, or to many, you know, but at the same time, it comes back to you. So we're all teaching each other something about, you know, about each other. And that's why we have the relationship. And so you realize that the Son of God is innocent, and everything goes. The judgment, all that tightness in the body.
Yeah.
You know, it releases, and literally the spirit descends. I mean, that's really what it is. And you can get into that moment when you're present and you realize, oof, man, I've been tight. You know, And
you know what's beautiful about that? When you let it go, you naturally migrate to more natural law for yourself. Like, your morality's heightened. Like, you're free to be you.
And that
I
happens.
actually,
Go ahead.
and I don't feel guilty doing better than I was before. You You know,
Yeah.
it's just the most freeing thing, and you end up making the right decisions anyways.
But that
Yeah.
happens when you're an empty nester, right?
Absolutely.
Just saying. With kids, you can't not lose your shit.
No. I mean,
That's
but
true.
the
Like,
thing
when
is,
you-
is
like, when
I
you-
remember
I'm
maybe
being honest,
five
like-
times that maybe I've ever hit my kids. But when it was because they disrespected their mother.
Oh, yeah.
That was really it.
That viral video
But-
that's going out, my wife sent it to me. She's like, we should record this. Because that's
Yeah.
the only time I lose my shit is if you don't listen to mom.
Yeah. I'm an utterly calm person.
you were
but,
very-
But really in the detail, but the big vision, you know, when I see something, it's more in...
We should call
Like-
Tiff on speaker.
Yeah. What is it like? She would agree.
Yeah, she'd be like, Garrett! That's
would
how
agree.
she'd answer the phone, too.
So you know, I have a way of just kind of seeing things, and I thought early on that it was because of course my education, you know, these books that I read and yada yada yada, and then you start to realize what your gifts are. You know, I mean, my birth sign is Libra, so there's this this bringing together of balance and harmony at any cost, right?
Yeah.
And so you kind of learn that, but I have to learn both sides of it to understand it, right? It's what we all do.
Well, and you're more fearless than most people.
True.
Because, you know, you see the details.
Yeah.
You see not only the 30,000 foot view, but you remember sequence,
Yeah.
timing, and everything, which is pretty unique.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah. Lance has been on calls with me where, you know, we'll have people kind of come back to us in some cases, sometimes partners who say they said a certain thing, and you know, you
Aaron's like, well, August 24th at 3 p.m. when you said
just nailed
this.
it. But I just remember things. I remember a lot of
And
things.
then it's like, and then it puts it back into perspective of why they made that decision then versus their perspective now.
Well,
So
it's also-
it's a gift. It's
Well,
a
and being
definite
ahead
gift.
of a lot of things, right?
Yeah, I see things way before they come. So
Exactly.
I arrive kind of like in the consciousness early, you know, saying, hey, you know what they're doing to children, 2007, 8.
Well, and I was
You know.
always saying, like, dude, I don't know if it's true, but it doesn't serve me, so I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be honest with you, I mean, how many
Right.
times have I told you, I'm like,
Right.
man,
If I didn't have so much cred, people would have cast me out as crazy.
Right.
Right. And so I learned kind of when to shut my mouth, but it was early on all the time.
So when did this? Okay, let's back up a little bit. When did the journey start? So it sounds like you went to school.
Yeah.
How long when you got? Did you get all these degrees?
I got all the
back to back?
degrees. Yeah. I went to work for a couple of direct sales companies. Fell in love with it. And with the idea that when you walk into a room of direct sales people, you know, you're walking into a room of believers already. They're willing to put their life on the line or their heart on the line and say, you know what, I can create something better for myself, you know, as a side hustle as we'd look at it now. But, you know, you get that kind of energy and it is like freaking magical. Some of the greatest minds I know are absolutely in that industry. And you know, I give a speech every now and then called The First 17 Days. And I remember I was in Kiev, Ukraine, and I was speaking with Bob Proctor at this meeting. And I gave that speech, which was, you know, the whole notion of it, but it's the whole speech in and of itself, but is, you know, God did not want this company to start if you wanted to look at it that way. Because to every problem there, like I said, are a gazillion solutions, and that's what we don't realize. We think there's only a solution. There's only blue or red. You know? I mean, it's good or bad. It's right or wrong. Is it boiling water or frozen water? What is it? It's freaking water. And so when you start to look at everything kind of from the neutral space, there was a yogi who said, we are born human. We are born human to discover our infinity, which the infinity is within the material realm. Any type of creation with these atoms. We can do anything. We are born human to discover our infinity so that we can become one with the totality. And realize that the totality, the ray from to you, the only begotten, the ray to you, the only begotten, and so on and so forth, are one and the same, just going through a different experience. So the universe experience in itself, as Deepak Chopra would say, or God manifesting into a realm of which he permeates individually, which is a blessing. And so how are you going to look at every moment? You know, no matter what it is, you're getting rained on in the streets of New York City and you only have a t-shirt, you know, and it's cold, or, I mean, how are you going to take it in? Or how are you going to create the experience? And we don't experience because we're robotic. You get up, you brush your teeth the same way every day, and you have the same pattern in your freaking carpet, you know, whatever. And so we got to mix it up and mix it up. And that breaks down a lot of barriers that have been set in motion on what the terms of association are, of being part of this field of religion or this school or, you know, this whatever, union, period. It's they're boxes. And in Masonry, can we get into that a little bit? There's a concept of
Only if you want this to be your last podcast.
Alan, are we gonna get canceled?
No, you're gonna be fine. We know those guys. But it's squaring the circle, right? The circle is really the symbol of the infinite, of God, and the squaring of it is entrapping in, you know, the black and white checkerboard, in duality, because the brains, you mix the brains and the brains never connect. And so we've been taken into this in a wild way, in a wild way. And it's okay, because we wanted the experience or we wouldn't be here. This is God's journey.
Right.
So your experience in it is up to you. And if you want to judge the moment, this is the way I would teach it to executives. Like, where the magic is in the moment is you come up to a stop sign, right? 4-way stop. You come up, you're going the speed limit, you stop, and there's a teenager rolling by at 70 miles per hour. Like, had you moved forward, you know, half a car length, you would have been dead. Across the street, there's a guy, he's leaning against the wall, Mexican guy, right? I'm half Mexican, so I can say that.
All right. Fair enough. We'll fact check that later.
So, leaning across the wall, and he's selling oranges. And there's a guy on the other side of the cart who's running away with oranges. And then there's, you know, a woman holding 2 frightened little children at the moment. This guy runs the deal. And so in the moment, we've already judged it. You know, stupid kid, scared mother, of course, what this guy did, that, you know, bastard, you know, poor Mexican guy, and a dirty, rotten thief. And that's the moment that you create instantly every moment, right? Because you've already pre-formulated what a thief looks like.
Sure.
And so you give it space. How is it that you accomplish these great miracles? He was asked, right? And he says, I know not, save the Father shows it unto me. And where's the Father? In the moment. That's where we meet him. In the present mind. In present consciousness. And he could say, you know, there's a $10 bill, why don't you make that guy whole? And you do that, but the reality is the son was where the kid was racing to the hospital to get his mother, who had just been admitted into an emergency room.
Right.
It's not the Mexican's cart, it's his friend's, and his friend is the guy running away with the oranges to feed his family who hasn't eaten all day. It's the reality, but you judged it differently. Oh, and the lady's trying to abduct the girls. And so in the moment where God says, go make them whole, you discover that, right? Okay, so this is like the sequence of events that happen all the time. We just don't see maybe what they are because we judge it. And because we judge it, we close it off. It's done in the material world. It's not real, though. The truth is what is. What is. As Buddha would say, it is as it is.
That's powerful stuff, man.
It is as it is. And when you're okay with that, the Son of God is in liberation at all times. This is the point, and this is the point that the world, technically does not want to hear.
Yeah.
You're okay to have your opinion. You're okay to dress like that if that's what you want to do. But there are agreements we're going to have as a society of mind that are, going to institute rules, but at the bottom line is every rule breaks the covenant of who we truly are. Completely free. And so
how do you wrestle with that? How do you navigate that on a day-to-day basis? Because we do have to live with rules.
Well, yes, and the golden rule is do unto others. And that's where we fall short. That's where we all freaking suck. Mm-hmm. At different levels. And we let ourselves down and we judge ourselves because of it. But the word repentance means to change your direction. So if you're not in harmony, at one mind, atonement, with the Father, then change your direction till you get there. But we're not going to judge you. I don't know if you've read like near-death experience books or
Dying to Be Me,
spoken to people.
Yeah.
Many of them have the same comment that there is no judgment.
No.
You review your life, but there's no judgment because your life is yours.
How can judgment exist if God is pure unconditional love?
Absolutely.
Those two things are completely no different than I don't believe that there's a hell.
Right.
Okay? Because how could that exist if God is pure unconditional love?
Absolutely the deal. And it exists in the mind where the sickness is.
Sure.
And so the wrestling with the angel or the struggling within the garden of the mind, James Allen, the garden of the mind. You plant good seeds and good things grow. You plant bad seeds and bad things grow. How could you know if you don't experience it? And those experiences, should help to direct us. But if you go off, you go off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you will reach a point. I said this to someone who was very close to me. He just doesn't realize he still is. In any
can't
case.
talk about Garrett like that.
Yeah,
He's still
exactly.
here.
I said, if you want to go lower, you can go lower. I promise you. There are people who have been living under the Las Vegas Strip for 10 years without ever coming up. You can go low, and you can go lower than that. We have the ability to do anything here. So as the vibration lifts, we're all going to be living by that golden rule. So that's how you do it. But at the end of the day, everyone has their shit, for sure. And if we were to throw our problems on the table, like really authentically, and have everyone do that across the board, we would be more than willing to take ours back, right? And realize that everyone has their journey. I am the way. Beautiful thing. And so we get there vibrationally, for sure. We get there through neutrality, being neutral, right, to the polarity. So it's not necessarily having a non-opinion, but understanding that there's the whole gamut of in between of all opinion. And all of it's right and all of it's wrong, right? Because it's just a single perspective of the same ball sitting in the middle of the table. And so we all see it differently, even though we might see it commonly in some regards. So hence back to my legal analysis of all contracts are null and void, because you can never have a meeting of the minds unless it's God's mind, which is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so that's the journey.
No, and along those lines, there's another word that I want to introduce.
Yeah.
And instead of an understanding, right? Undertaker, understanding, it's an understanding. let me take that in and find an inner
Yeah.
standing. So be conscious of the words that you're using.
Yeah.
You've completely, with sentence 1 of this podcast, you blew my mind with the week and Monday. And
Stuff that we discuss. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
that's
the words we
incredible.
use manifest.
Yeah. Think it into existence.
Yeah.
So, you know, you look at the state of the world today and it's like, holy shit. I mean, is it ever going to change? And the reality is it is. You know, again, the objective is to, you know, stay healthy, make your own decisions. You know, a lot of people regretting, you know, some of the decisions they made in COVID. It's okay. It's okay.
And bring the right calendar back too.
And bring the right calendar back, yeah.
No, we won't go into that.
Let's go back into the 13-month calendar, 28-day cycles. It makes sense.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, the significance of 12. The number
You
really.
did it. Good job.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
It was on the teeter for 2 seconds there.
The number really is. The number really is 13.
Yeah.
And this is where they mock us
Yep.
in the 13 , but.
Is
You
that,
know,
is that like
you
Taylor
have
Swift's favorite
yeah,
numbers?
yeah, exactly. You have the
Interesting.
12 ventricles, you know, main ventricles into the brain that surround essentially the Christus. The pineal gland inside is crystalline. We are light, pure light, and it's referred to as the seat of the soul. And so if the kingdom of God, this is what Jesus taught, the kingdom of God is within you. Oh my gosh, why are you guys looking out here
Right.
for your solution? The kingdom is within you, all solution, all understanding, all knowing of pain and suffering because you did it. You are the Christ. It is you. How could he know? Because he's you. We're a part of it all. And so we see this perspective. And that's why, you know, in the end, it'll be pure love. It'll be like, oh my gosh, you were so bitching. Thanks for suing me. You know
The
what I mean?
60s.
Yeah.
Or-
It'll be like the 60s again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I was there.
So okay, I've got a question. I'm going to come out from left field here for you. Who is they? Who is the one that's putting the dark cloud on everything right now? Who's pulling the strings behind the curtain?
Ooh, that's a good one. And it's vast because they work as a collective. This is where you get into secret societies. I mean, things that will be unveiled. And a lot of different faiths along the way. And the ironic thing is they all point to the same thing. Numerology, tarot, astrology, religion, the holy books is that that you are, it is within, you go. And the kingdom of God is within you. So if the kingdom is there, the throne is there, and the throne is there, guess who's there? Mother effers. The guy.
Yeah.
The guy who's never left. Where does thought come from? You know, I want to be a better person. In Hebrew, it would be Yod He Va He. Yod He Va He, which is the term Jehovah, but it's really a creative sequence of thought, understanding of the thought, manifestation of the thought. I am the sun, and this is what the sun has done according to the thought. And the other realization of the thought, which Jesus would refer to as the Holy Ghost, sees it from start to finish, understanding everything in between, the polarity. So you say, I want to lose 40 pounds. Awesome. Son receives it, the Immaculate Conception, where the thought actually takes form in the physical world as a neuron. And you build that neuron and where a seed, and you feed that seed. And you build that neuron. I want to play the piano. So you start playing the piano and you're like, this is freaking hard. How do you do this? But you practice. And where do seeds grow? Toward the sun. The solar plexus is where they grow. So it goes down the spine, Genesis, the Christus, the Son of God, taking the thought and bringing it into glorious form in the material world, right? Va is the manifestation. This son actually cut his legs off. That's how he lost 40 pounds, right? I mean, it could be received in the complexities of the mind in such a way where in the end, that wasn't necessarily where the thought was leading. But capturing the thought, with the wrong forming or programming causes you to make a judgment and to bring it into reality and to take it to the sun Genesis. And then ultimately, I want to have a baby all the way down to the lowest chakra. So these are all energy vortexes that we all have. And our whole objective is to bring Genesis from our thoughts to things, because all thoughts become things. This was someone's thought. And all the materials and the materials themselves were someone's thought.
Yeah.
And so on and so on and so on. And it all brought value. And now it's this, and it'll be this for, 60 years, even if you toss this away, the next 2. So thought has lasting ability. The invisible thoughts are the tough ones, because those are the thoughts that roll through our heads. I had this discussion with my daughter, Liberty, the other day, and she was going through an issue, and my comment was, how long has this been renting space in your head? I said, I will go to sleep. I will go to sleep in the next hour, Liberty, and I will fall asleep literally within 20 seconds. None of those thoughts have place in my mind. When I go, and you learn that by suffering so greatly.
Sure.
Where those thoughts become so heavy and so foreign that you decide, okay, I'm done with it. Fuck it. It's kind of it's the big fuck it moment. So a moment of pure rebellion. And so you get through the event horizon and you discover, oh my gosh, there's a whole new freaking world, a whole reality that I had no idea. Astrology, man, that is amazing. It's amazing. Is it the answer? It's one of many that leads you to you. So yeah, for some it will be.
That's a God-given gift I have too. It always pisses off Amanda because I can fall asleep
Absolutely.
I'm out.
Absolutely.
And I don't.
Next.
Yeah. Well, he's got a little one.
Reset.
Yeah.
In the next
Actually,
I'm celebrating 3 hours at this point, so I'm with you.
Yeah.
he just
Yeah, if we're talking about manifesting a son, I did it. So here we go.
Yeah.
So you think that there's truth, because a lot of people, you've got religion, whatever side that's on, and then we call it the witchy wives or the hippie stuff.
Sure.
You're saying there's truth in all of this stuff.
The only truth is in the moment, and actually every moment is ever present, right? Because God is ever present. So every moment, this is where it gets a little dicey, is every moment is one. And so, and we take those moments and kind of backtrack them so we can see it going forward, string theory type stuff. But the only truth is what is. That's the only truth. Everything else is freaking made up. Every thought in your mind. We teach our kids what cold is. Imagine what if we didn't.
Yeah, that runs through my head often too.
Right? And we do it from a very early age. We label, and so this is attachment, as again Deepak Chopra would say. And that attachment binds us here because it is separate from us when it's all part of us, because we are co-inheritors in the words of Jesus of the king, the whole thing, not one over the other, but of the whole thing. So we are co-creators right now. Right. You're creating your reality, and you're not necessarily always experiencing it because you're out of the moment. So, but God's there regardless, because it's God's moment. He's the river. You're the drop, and you're part of this freaking machine that is winding right now. It's such a beautiful day. There's a reason it's called the Great and Dreadful Day, of the Lord, so to speak, because it's great for some and dreadful, for I think, all the bad guys.
Huh.
But then you have to say, well, what is bad, right?
Well, that's all an
Exactly.
opinion as well.
Who else is going to accept, the role of, let's say, Hillary Clinton?
Oof.
Who's going to accept that in a sense, because at a very large level, David Icke would refer to it as like the hologram of all the energy, the same energy, but at a very high level, what has she really taught us? Not the words she said, but taught us about us and some big things. But we have those people in our lives. All the big things that you see, the battles that are going on are in you. And when you're really honest with yourself, you realize it. You're like, holy shit, I'm having the battles, right? It's the battle between good and evil at whatever level.
Well, it's
whatever
also the conversation you have with yourself too, right? Because I always say this with my kids is to where it's like, you only know what you know, and give them always the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
Because you say Hillary Clinton. Dude, she's surrounded by people that are telling her everything she wants to hear.
Well, that's
And the ones she
something that
wants to listen to, it's just easier
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that I'm deflecting from it, but it's also, I'm not saying her in general, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying in a generality of like, give them the benefit of the doubt because, they've only been taught it this way. They've never been opened to see it the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we conjure up the image that we desire to see. So we label it and we put it there, but it's actually teaching us something. And that's the beauty. It's like, man, I'm glad those people took that assignment, because that'd be a bitch, and look at it. I mean, the smartest guys in the room, the all-stars of colleges, look at what they're sitting on right now. They're sitting on an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, who are the smart ones here? And the only way is the one way. It's the at one mind. It's, live, be ye therefore perfect. Jesus said, be with a capital B with a capital E. Be present. Ye therefore perfect, because if you are perfectly you in the moment, you are true, 100%. And like I said, we live according to the perceptions of others many times.
And we've had the perception lately in the circles that we've been talking with, this is the greatest time to be alive.
Yeah,
Right now.
absolutely.
Think about it. How exciting is it that people are returning back to themselves? It's the
Well, I do-
greatest time in human history to be alive. So we
It's
should be
gonna flip.
excited about that.
Yeah.
It should be, because I do believe that there's whatever's going on, there's massive shifts. We're living in a moment in history right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is something my grandchildren are going to ask me about for a school report.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen, but
Yeah.
to deny that is a truth. I love what you said right there, though, because the truth can't be defeated,
No, I mean, And the truth can't be judged.
and it can't be judged.
That's
It
the
always
thing.
It is what it
That's
is.
the thing, and we want to make hay with it through division. It's like, people are pretty fucked up for sure, but so are you.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So let it go, and all of a sudden, it has no power over you.
Yep.
These institutions, educational, so what? The degrees mean nothing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What? And what? Does that mean you're going to make it in life? No. What's going to make you make it in life is you. Mm-hmm. It's totally up to you. And even if you go dark, I would rather, in Revelations, I'd rather that you be hot or cold, right, than nothing.
And lukewarm.
Yeah, than lukewarm.
Yep.
But the peace is in the neutrality, and peace leads to joy. So if you can hit the neutrality and not really have an opinion one way or the other, or a judgment one way or the other, even though there's a higher way, that's where really you can speak in a more spiritual way and kind of bless the moment, because you can't have these conversations with everyone. I mean, with very few people.
Yeah.
Well, we are tonight.
We are tonight.
This is
And
what
this is a
everyone-
big one. This is a big one. And
I warned you guys.
You did. You did. You didn't tell me that this was going to be a 4 or 5 part series.
Yeah. But you think about it.
Part due coming soon.
Yeah, it's all changing. But so we're going to be able to be more authentic, less judgmental. I mean, but we have to surrender all of those labels that we've, put on the table, and just understand we are in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We are in it, man. Just take it in. Getting rained on in the streets of New York City, and it may not be convenient because you're going to a meeting, but I don't know. So or you end up getting your flight canceled, and you're like, what do? I'm gonna have the time of my life. I'm gonna read and I'm gonna sleep, whatever.
Well, there's a purpose to everything that happens.
Absolutely. Yep. It's God's moment.
Right.
It's not yours. So all of it comes together in one. So where is it? The only thing that is what was together at that moment in the entire cosmos, because that's God's and it's meant to be. But again, the labels are what get us freaky.
Break.
All right. So, guys, honestly, we're at our time limit. I didn't even realize it. We have to do a part 2 and part 3, possibly up to 5, if you're willing. I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface. We haven't even really gotten to the Genshai. But let's do this, okay? You were just mentioning in the break right there, you have a little homework for us. And let's give that to the audience and ourselves.
A lot of people, they want to know how to kind of tap in to greater consciousness and kind of get the understanding. Because when, again, going back to the pineal, when the brain hemispheres merge, you start to see everything differently. It's the same world. As REM explained it, it's the end of the world as we know it. But I feel fine. As a matter of fact, you're going to feel a lot better because it's the end of this world that's all based on illusion, literally. But the beauty is at the crux of it. I said this early on, that we think things into the field of mortality, right? Into this field, 3D field that we're in, and we do that through our focus on consciousness and so forth. And so when you start to understand how the mind works and what the mind is truly connected to, you can start to see a much bigger picture. Jesus in Luke 5 something said, and the time has now come and yet will be that the dead who hear the voice of the Son of God shall live. Something along those lines. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So the dead is to what? And in some cultures it's, our ancestors and whatnot, as they take it forward. But the dead is to the truth, which is the reality that we're in, absent our perspectives, right? And so the dead are those who are not consciously aware. And those that hear the voice of the Son of God, who you are, by the way, shall live for the first time ever. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, man.
It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to start you with James Allen. I have a series of books, and we can have discussion about them all. James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. It's only 78 pages. If you can't read it, you're losers. Anyone listening? Because it is probably one of the greatest books that you could be subject to. In the coming to know that thoughts become things. And we literally bring our thoughts, whether they be visible or invisible, into the world. And so we need to manage that much, much better, because they've taken us down a road. They, meaning the controllers of the institutions, just like the controllers of the organization and the board, but it's just a much higher, bigger board. And behind the board are dark forces, very dark. So it's the whole gamut. And so we're battling it all. As Paul said, we wrestle with essentially these entities, seen and unseen. And so, right? So as a man thinketh, thoughts become things. So if you are not the guardian and the enhancer of your thoughts, who will be? is really what it comes down to. But it's a beautiful book, 78 pages. And then we'll go on to a few more. But, you know, I'll tell you, you know, aside from, let's say, scriptural readings, which I do love, you know, my daughter says to me, for someone who doesn't believe in Jesus, you quote him more than anyone I know. And I'm like, well, no, I know the Christ. Yeah. Is kind of how I respond. I know him. Yeah. Holy crap. I mean, it's more real than ever.
Sure.
Because the Christ lives within you, and you're like, holy, that was a piece of shit.
Wow.
Period. But look at it. So, and the only way is up, you know, as long as we want to take. So getting up to the top book, which, you know, I received as a recommend from a dear friend probably 10, 12 years ago. And it just sat in my study. I had been going through, I have conglomerates of every kind of subject that I've read through or, you know, tried to devour until I'm sick of it, and then I'm kind of off to the next. But it was the Course of Miracles. And I remember trying to get into it, but it was, you know...
The original Course of Miracles.
It's hard. Yeah.
The original. Yeah, it's so beautifully written, but you have to really read it in a flow. And so I would recommend the audio of that, because you can listen to it. And, you know, if I have a good book, it's like in audio, it's on Kindle, and it's, you know, in hardback. And that is it. I mean, aside from obviously the Bible, I mean, those words are still here after how many thousands of years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they are the crux of it. The Course of Miracles just develops it.
Well, here's what I'm proposing, if you're all in for it, okay? Let's do a little homework. Jared, you down for a 78-page book?
Oh,
Alec,
yeah.
you game?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I know you are. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do a little homework. We haven't even scratched the surface here, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's take we're going to take a couple of day pause, and let's come back for round 2. Let us do a little homework. The book for everybody is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen.
Right on.
And then we'll pick it back up with that.
Beautiful.
Does that work for you guys?
Sounds great.
That's awesome.
Works.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We're very proud to produce this show here this evening. We're bringing some big thought, big brain stuff here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah.